Hello everyone, welcome to my e-learning session of three-phase induction motor, which is the topic of basic electrical engineering. Introduction to three-phase induction motor. As we know that an electrical motor is an electromechanical device which converts electrical energy into mechanical energy. An induction motor is also called a synchronous motor as it never runs at a synchronous speed. A three-phase induction motor in an electric motor in which the electric current in the rotor needed to produce torque. It is singly excited AC machine which is converted to three-phase supply. The principle of operation of three-phase induction motor is based on the production of rotating magnetic field, that is RMF. This is a simple diagram of three-phase induction motor. It requires only a stator power supply, unlike a synchronous motor which requires a three-phase AC supply on the stator side and DC supply on the rotor side. Construction of three-phase induction motor. To get a good understanding of the working principle of a three-phase induction motor, it is essential to understand the construction of a three-phase induction motor. A three-phase induction motor consists mainly of two parts. First one is stator and second one is rotor. The blue part that is shown in figure is stator and the grey part which is shown in figure is rotor. First of all, we will discuss about the stator. The stator is a stationary hollow cylindrical structure made up of slotted laminations of sheet steel punching. The laminations are insulated by a coating of insulating varnish. The stator carries a three-phase distributed winding which is housed in the slots. The stator has three parts. First one is outer frame, second is stator core, and last one is stator winding. First is outer frame. It is the outer body of the motor which supports the stator core and protects the inner part of the machine, as shown in the figure. For small machines it is casted and for larger machine it is fabricated. The feet are provided in the outer frame to place the motor on the foundation. The next part is stator core. It carries the alternating magnetic field which produces hysteresis and eddy current losses. Hence, core is built up of high grade silicon steel stamping assembled under hydraulic pressure and are keyed to the frame. As shown in figure, the stator core provided slots, tooth and stator stamping. Each stamping is insulated from the other with a thin varnish layer. Slots are punched on the inner periphery of the stamping to accommodate stator winding. The next part of the stator is stator winding. The stator core carries a three-phase winding which is usually supplied from a three-phase supply system. The 6 terminals of the winding, 2 of each phase, are connected in the terminal box of the machine. The stator of the motor is wound for defined number of poles. The exact number is being determined by the need of speed. It is seen that greater the number of poles, the lower the speed, and vice versa, as we can see that Ns is inversely proportional to P, where Ns is synchronous speed and P is number of poles. Or we can also say that Ns is equals to 120 F upon P, where F is a frequency. The windings may be connected in star manner or in delta manner. The next part of the three-phase induction motor is rotor. The rotor is also built of thin lamination of the same material as the stator. The rotor consists of cylindrical laminated core with parallel slots that carry conductor bars. The conductors are heavy copper or aluminium bars which fits in each slot. The conductors are braced to the shaft circulating end rings. The slots are not exactly made parallel to the axis of shaft but are slotted a little skewed for the following reason: to reduce the noise, second to reducing magnetic locking between the stator and rotor, to provide the smoother torque. There are two types of the rotor. First one is squirrel cage rotor and second one is phase wound rotor or slip ring rotor. The first one is squirrel cage rotor. Due to its simplicity and rugged construction, most of the induction motor are this type. It consists of laminated cylindrical core having semi-closed circular slots at the outer periphery. As shown in figure, we have two end rings which are connected by the rotor bars. The copper or aluminum bar conductors are placed in these slots and short circuited at each end by copper or aluminum ring called short circulating rings. Hence the rotor winding is permanently short circuited and is not possible to add any external resistance in the rotor circuit. The rotor slots are usually not parallel to the shaft but are skewed due to following reason. It reduces the hum and provides smooth and noise free operation. It results in a uniform torque curve for different positions of the rotor. The locking tendency of the rotor is reduced and it increases the rotor resistance due to the increased length of the rotor bar conductors. The next type of rotor is phase wound rotor or slip ring rotor. It consists of laminated cylindrical core having semi-closed slots at the outer periphery and carries a three-phase insulated winding. The rotor is wound for the same number of poles as that of stator. As shown in the figure, the three finished terminals are connected together forming star point and the three star terminal are connected to three copper sleeping fixed on the shaft. Here, depending upon the requirement, any external resistance can be added in the rotor circuit. The rotor is also screwed. A mild steel shaft is passed through the center of the rotor and is fixed to it with key. The purpose of shaft is to transfer the mechanical power to the external device. Now, working principle of three-phase induction motor. The induction motor works on the principle of electromagnetic induction. When a three-phase supply is given to the three-phase stator winding, a rotating magnetic field, that is RMF, of the constant magnitude is produced. The speed of the rotating magnetic field is synchronous speed, that is ns, which is we discussed earlier that ns is equals to 120 f upon p, where f is supplied frequency and p is number of poles for which stator winding is wound. This rotating field produces an effect of rotating poles around a rotor. Let direction of rotation of this rotating magnetic field is clockwise as shown in the figure A. Now, at the instant rotor is stationary and stator flux RMF is rotating, so it's obvious that there exists a relative motion between the RMF and rotor conductors. Now the RMF gets cut by rotor conductors as RMF sweeps over rotor conductors. Whenever conductor cuts the flux, EMF get induced in it. So EMF get induced in the rotor conductor is called rotor induced EMF. This is electromagnetic induction. As rotor forms closed circuit, induced EMF circulates current through rotor, which is called the rotor current, as shown in figure B. Let the direction of this current is going into the paper denoted by the cross as shown in figure B. Any current carrying conductor produce its own flux. So rotor produces its flux, which is called the rotor flux. For assumption direction of rotor current, the direction of rotor flux is clockwise, which is shown in figure C. This direction can be easily determined using the right hand thumb rule. Now, as all the rotor conductors experiences a force, the overall rotor experiences a torque and start rotating. So interaction of two fluxes is very essential for a motoring action. This rotor conductor rotation can also be explained by Lenz's law, which tells that the induced current in the rotor opposes the cause for its production. Here this opposition is rotating magnetic field. This result the rotor start rotating in the same direction of the stator rotating magnetic field. Alternately, this can be explained according to Lenz's law. The direction of induced current in the rotor is so as to oppose the cause producing it. The cause of rotor current is the induced EMF, which is induced because of relative motion present between the rotating magnetic field and the rotor conductors. Hence, to oppose the relative motion, that is to reduce the relative speed, the rotor experiences a torque in the same direction as that of RMF and tries to catch up the speed of rotating magnetic field. So, Ns minus N is equals to relative speed between two, that is rotating magnetic field and the rotor conductors. This is the prediction of rotating magnetic field, according to which let us consider a stator on which three different windings represented by three concentric coils A1 A2, B1 B2 and C1 C2 respectively are placed 120 degree apart, electrically apart. Now, as shown in the waveform, the red waveform represent the phase 1, blue represent the phase 3rd and purple dotted represent the phase 3, which are placed 120 degree electrically apart. Suppose three phase currents will flow through the three coils and produces their own magnetic field. The positive half cycle of the alternating current is considered as inward flow of current in the start terminal, and negative half cycle is considered as outward flow of current in the start terminal. The direction of the flow of current is opposite in the finish terminal of the same coil. So, when a three-phase winding is energized from a three-phase supply, a rotating magnetic field is produced. It can be shown that the magnitude of this rotating field is constant and equal to 125 Fm, where Fm is a maximum flux due to any phase. The three-phase windings are displaced from each other by 120 degree. The windings are supplied by balanced three-phase AC supply. Now, this is the prediction of rotating magnetic field, where stator winding can be connected in star or delta connection. The three-phase current flows simultaneously through the windings are displaced from each other by 120 degree electrically apart. So, all the fluxes are sinusoidal and are separated from each other by 120 degree. Now, suppose if the phase sequence of the winding is RYB, that is red, yellow and blue, then mathematically we can say that the flux induced in R is phi R, flux induced in yellow is phi Y and in blue phi B. Can be written as phi R is equals to phi M sin omega t, phi Y is equals to phi M sin omega t minus 120 degree and phi B is equals to phi M sin omega t minus 240 degree. As windings are identical and supply is balanced, the magnitude of each flux is phi M, which is maximum. In the case first, when the value of omega t is 0, we get phi R is equals to phi M sin 0. That means the whole value of sin R is equals to 0. Similarly, for the phi R, the value is minus 0.866 phi M, or we can say root 3 by 2 phi M. Now, for the value phi B plus 0.866 phi M. Similarly, in the case 2, when we put the value of omega t is equals to 60 degree, then the value of phi R is equals to phi M sin 60 is equals to plus 0.866 phi M. Similarly, we get all the values for other. Now, in the case of third, where the value of omega t is equals to 120 degree, then we get the value of phi R is equals to phi M sin 20 degree, that is plus 0.866 phi M. For phi Y is equals to 0 and phi B is equals to minus 0.866 phi M. Similarly, we get value when we put the omega t is equals to 180 degree, phi R is equals to 0, phi Y is equals to plus 0.866 phi M and phi B is equals to minus 0.866 phi M. So, this is the resultant we get in the all cases when theta is equals to 0 degree, when theta is equals to 60 degree, when theta is equals to 120 degree, and when theta is equals to 180 degree. Now this is the comparison between the electrical and phasor diagram, where we can find the flux rotates one complete 360 degree on the 180 degree displacement of the flux. Thank you everyone for watching my video.